Okay, so we are in OpenStax statistics, and we are going to talk about matched or paired samples. So a paired sample in a hypothesis test, it's really subjects are matched in pairs and then differences are calculated. And the differences become the data. So you'll understand this once we do an example. But the classic example of a paired sample would be before and after metrics for a sample. So you take the difference between the measurements, and then those differences, that's what your data is going to be. So there are some requirements for using this. You need to have a simple random sample. Sample sizes are typically small when you do this. You're going to have two measurements drawn from the same pair of individuals or objects. Differences are calculated from the matched or paired samples. The differences form the sample that is used for the hypothesis test. And either the matched pairs have differences that come from a population that is normal, or the number of differences is sufficiently large so that the distribution of the sample mean of the differences is approximately normal. So the thing is, we're conducting a hypothesis test on just the differences. We're not comparing now two groups, like two means or two proportions. We're working with just the differences. So we actually go back to chapter 9 logic. So let me just show you the relevant formula. So we're going to use the student's t-test for a single population mean, and we go back to our n-1 degrees of freedom, the good old simple days of n-1. So here's my calculation. And so you're going to notice I have x bar sub d minus mu sub d over s sub d over the square root of n. So the sub d is just telling you that we're doing this specifically with differences. So just so that you can see how this formula compares to what we were doing in chapter 9, this is what we were using in chapter 9, where I had x bar minus mu over sigma divided by the square root of n. And now it's x bar minus mu over s divided by the square root of n. And these are just with the differences. So it's literally the same logic of the formula. The other thing that I want to do real quick is I just want to talk about setting up the hypotheses. So typically what's going to happen, since we're talking about differences, we are going to be interested in seeing whether they are higher or lower after an experiment. And what that is typically going to translate to is whether they are positive or negative. So you will notice hypotheses are set up around 0. That is typical with a paired sample. So just to give you some ideas of like how this might look. So a basketball team scores higher after taking a basketball clinic in August. So if you're trying to test for this, so I would think then if they're scoring higher, the differences would be greater than 0. So they're scoring more points. So for my alternative, I'd want the differences, my mu sub d would be greater than 0. And then just like always, you back into your h sub naught, your null. Or we want to know if a cholesterol is lowered after taking a certain medication. So now I would expect that you would have like smaller cholesterol numbers. So that would be, the differences would be negative. So my mu sub d, my alternative should be mu sub d should be less than 0. So you want it to be negative. So if this doesn't totally make sense, we're going to do a couple of examples and then hopefully this will start to click. But I just want to make it clear, like we typically center this all around 0. So now I actually just want to go straight into the Excel workbook to talk about the next example. So I have that a study was conducted to investigate the effectiveness of hypnotism in reducing pain. So results for randomly selected subjects are shown, and then a lower score indicates less pain. So the before value is matched to an after value, and the differences are calculated, and the differences have a normal distribution. So the question is, are the sensory measurements on average lower after hypnotism? And we're going to test at the 5% significance level. Okay, so first of all, this is obvious, and I don't use that word often, but it's obvious that this is a matched or paired sample because the table that we were given is before and after, and we have the same subjects, boom, 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 boom. So these are all certain people before, after, okay? So when you have before and after, some sort of treatment happens and you have that same group, and you can actually calculate the differences between them. It's a very obvious thing that it's a matched or paired sample. The key, of course, is for you to recognize that this is before and after data, okay? So that being said, so once you have that, then you calculate some differences. So you can see I have my differences calculated here. And if you just click on the formulas here, so I set this one up for you. So I'm taking the after minus the before. And so what we're interested in is did the pain go down? So we're interested in, are the differences negative on the whole? And so if you look down here, so you can see I set up my null and my alternative hypothesis. So I want to see if the measurements are less after hypnotism, which means I want my mu sub d to be negative, right? So less than. And so then I can back into what my h sub naught is. Okay, so the idea is take your differences, boom, 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 and then you take a mean of the differences. So this is x sub d, so that is the mean of all of the differences. So you have to calculate that average. And then you also have to calculate the standard deviation from those differences. So now you've got a mean, you've got a standard deviation, you're going to need to know your n and your degrees of freedom, which is in this case, so we're going back to chapter 9 stuff. So we take the n minus 1. And so from here, we should be able to calculate a test statistic. Now, I wrote this whole thing out for you because the thing is, so this mu sub d, just like the rest of chapter 10, this will always end up just being 0. So you'll notice here in how I set this up. So I have my mean, the blue box, B15 minus 0, divided by my s sub d, divided by the square root of my n. So this is very, very similar to what we did in chapter 9. It's just now we're doing it with the differences. And so then from there, so of course I can get to my test statistic. So let's just go ahead and graph this. So now that I have a test statistic, so I'm still dealing with the normal distribution. This is still centered at 0. So this is going to be negative 3.04. I'll just round that. So here's the area that I'm looking for. So I go ahead and I compute my p-value. We're dealing with students t. So I use my test statistic. Here's my degrees of freedom. Right, true. Here's your p-value. And then from here, now it's just your good old normal, hypothesis test. So for my conclusion, I have that 0.009. This is definitely less than 0.05. So what does that mean? We reject the null. There is sufficient evidence that the hypnotism treatment, let's see, how do I want to say that, caused a, well, I don't want to say caused, the hypnotism treatment affected, let's see, participants to have a lower pain score after treatment. And I will just, I don't want these to all be green, so I'm just going to color them back. Okay, so after that, it's like a normal hypothesis test. So it's really back to like chapter 9 stuff that we're dealing with here. All right, so let's just go to the next tab because this is going to just be very heavy on the Excel. So I have a college softball coach was interested in whether the college's strength development class increased the player's maximum lift. 4 players participated in the study. The amount of weight that they could lift was recorded before they took the strength development class. After completing the class, the amount of weight they could each lift was measured again. The data are in the table below, so we want to know if the strength development class makes the players if it makes them stronger on average. Okay, so first things first, we need to just figure out what is the difference. So we have prior to class and after the class. So I'm going to take the after minus the before. And so as you can see here, so we've got this set of differences. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add in one of these text boxes so that I can just write out what my hypotheses are. So I'm going to have that, well, I'll start with my alternative. I'd like to start with my alternative. So he wants to know, or she wants to know, if the coach wants to know if the strength development class makes the players stronger on average, which would mean that the difference should go up. So my mu sub d should be greater than 0. So then I can just take my mu sub d will be less than or equal to 0. Okay. So there are my hypotheses. And so from here, so now I need to just get all the information so that I can calculate this test statistic. So in knowing the formula for the test statistic, you kind of see which way you need to go with this. So I need to take the average of the differences. I need to take the standard deviation of the differences. So I'm going to take standard deviation of these 4. And then I need to get to the test statistic. So if you haven't yet, I would suggest that you pause here. You do all this and get your test statistic. And then actually, once you get your test statistic, you really should be able to finish this. So I would say, see if you can just finish the example to make sure you've got it, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so for my test stat, so now I need to take that mean of the differences. And I guess actually one thing we could put in here, so we could also do a standard error. So we did that in chapter 9 all the time. So maybe I'll bring that back. So we are missing some information to get to that standard error. So maybe I'll just note here, oops. So I have n, let's see, n was 4. That will give me a degrees of freedom of 3. And so then my standard error, so the standard error, remember, is just your s divided by your square root of n. So that was something that we did in the previous section. So I'm gonna bring that back. Oops, so this should be s divided by the square root of n. Okay, that's what I was trying to do. So there's my standard error. So then I can get to my test statistic. So you didn't have to do all that, but you know, we did it a lot in chapter 9, so I'm just bringing back to the old techniques. Now the cool thing is, since this mu sub d is just 0, I don't have to do like this minus 0. I did that in the previous one just so you could see the placeholder. But I'm just going to skip that for now. And then the standard error, I'll just have to arrow over to it. So I got for my test statistic 0.91. Okay, so from here, now I should be able to draw my distribution. Here's 0. Here's my test statistic. I've got a pretty good feeling about what's about to happen here, but we are going to confirm it by doing the calculation. So we are using students t because this is paired samples and we only have 4. So for my p-value, 1 minus t dot dist, I'm going to take this test statistic. 3 is my degrees of freedom, always plug in true. So my p-value is this 0.21. So I have 0.21 is greater than 0.05. Now notice in this case, this example does not mention an alpha. So when there's no alpha mentioned, we always just assume it's 0.05. So this means we do not reject the null. So there is not sufficient evidence that the lifting course, let's see, increased the amount of weight that the softball players could lift. Now, I will say this much, and I mean, this is like a fun thing you can start doing at this point because you've really learned a lot at this point. Like, personally, I would be like, why did we only choose 4 players? This is not really like a good sample size. So like, it's also not surprising to me that we don't have enough evidence because, yeah, there's only 4 people, right? So I would be interested in doing this for like the entire team. Like maybe if you could do it with like 20 people, I think you would get a better answer. So something you can think about as you're working through homework problems now, because we've just seen so many of these tests, is that you can start thinking about critiquing the study. Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.